The scene begins in a hotel as two young people step out of the elevator. The man, Gihayen, reminds the woman that today is Wednesday. She freezes a little when she hears that. He notices and tells her she already signed the contract, so she can't suddenly back out. She thinks about the deal she agreed to. A moment later, Gihayen is sitting with a drink while she takes a shower. In the bathroom she remembers the contract again, how he told her he wanted her to carry his child and asked if she didn't need the money. Later, the two of them sit quietly on the bed. Gihayen leans in, but she tells him they should just finish what they came for, that extra affection is for people who are in love. Her words surprise him. He moves quickly, making her fall back on the bed, catching her off guard. He gets ready, but when the moment comes, he can't go through with it. He asks how he's supposed to make everything quick when he can't even begin. She hides her face in embarrassment. Instead of pushing further, he lies beside her and gives her a gentle kiss. He says that even now, it feels like he's getting to know her all over again. Just like when they were in college together. 1 month earlier, at the main branch of H Hotel, owned by SY Group. Gihayen Park is in his office when his secretary lets a guest in. The man greets him and says it has been a while. He finally found Minju Cha. He shows Gihayen a photo. Gihayen looks at it, smiles, and confirms it's her. Her hair is longer, she looks thinner, but she's the same person he has been searching for 10 years. Her situation is terrible. Minju's mother had married a man who brought huge debt into their lives. He failed at every business he tried and later passed away. Last year, Minju's stepbrother got into a motorcycle crash. He was riding without insurance, and both he and the other driver lost their lives. The victim's family blamed Minju's family and kept troubling them. The case is still in court. Minju's mother, already struggling with kidney problems, got worse from stress and overworking. Her treatment bills are piling up. Minju works from morning till night at 2 different places, but it still isn't enough. She lost her deposit, paid for a small rooftop room, and is behind on rent. She can't keep up anymore. The next day, Gihayen is working out. He tells his secretary to cancel all meetings. The secretary is shocked because even the chairman will be at the big meeting, but Gihayen refuses. He has something more important to do. Later, in the bathtub, he remembers 10 years ago in college. Minju's friend, Haegyeon, confronted him. She warned him not to hurt Minju. She told him to stop playing with her feelings and even insulted him. Minju begged her to stop, but the fight got so tense that Minju broke down and cried. Back in the present, Gihayen finishes his bath and whispers to himself that he's not that person anymore, so she doesn't need to cry. He then goes to the road Minju passes every day. He steps out of his car, dressed perfectly, planning to meet her by accident, greet her, and ask how she has been. He stands at the crossing, nervous but excited. But when Minju appears, she walks right past him without a second look. She doesn't recognize him at all. He calls her name desperately, but she still turns away and keeps walking. He's stunned. That night he can't sleep, realizing he had imagined a reunion where she welcomed him. Instead, she treated him like a stranger. That moment burned everything inside him. The next day he walks the streets, drinking and thinking. How can he get close to her again? What must he do? He drives to her workplace and watches from afar. He sees her hand a snack to a little girl. He watches her quietly and wonders if his feelings are love, regret, or something darker. One evening, he sees her outside after work. A young guy greets her and offers to take her home on his bicycle. His name is Heesung Nam. She asks if he's done with practice. He says yes. Gihayen remembers asking his informant if Minju was seeing anyone. The man had said he wasn't sure, but she was often seen with Heesung, a national athlete and the younger brother of her best friend. Seeing her with him becomes Gihayen's final breaking point. From that moment, he stops caring about what his feelings mean. All he wants is to erase the past and take her back. So he chooses the fastest and harshest way. He buys the building she lives in and uses her unpaid rent as a reason to call her out. At the cafe, Minju is shocked when she learns he is her new landlord. Gihayen slides a paper toward her and says he knows about her rent problems and can solve them. In return, he wants her to sign another agreement. He calls it a pregnancy contract. He wants her to have a child for him. He plans everything carefully, like a businessman who refuses to lose. That is how badly he wanted Minju back in his life. Minju is shocked by Gihayen's proposal. She ignores it and begs him to give her 1 month to pay the overdue rent. She explains she truly has no money left. Most of her income is taken automatically to cover loan interest. She says he's the last person she wants to owe anything to, but she can't take more loans and she can't go to loan sharks. She pleads again for more time. He cuts her off and asks why he should trust her, reminding her that she once disappeared without a word. She doesn't understand why he's acting like the hurt one when he was the one who left her back then. Gihayen calmly says he has more than enough money now. He doesn't know how big her debt is, but he can take care of that too. She stares at him, confused. She asks if he works for a charity or if he's here to hand out donations. He laughs and tells her he has built a huge fortune, and he doesn't want it to go to strangers after he's gone. That's why he wants his own child. His words shock her. He never liked kids. And he already had a child. Her mind flashes back to when they were young. He had once told her that Yoonjung was expecting, and that it just happened. Back in the present, Minju walks down the road and he follows closely behind her. After a while she stops and asks how long he plans to follow her. He says she's the one who walked away while they were still talking. She snaps back, asking why she should listen to the nonsense he's saying. She tells him if he wants a child, he should find a kind woman and he cuts her off again. He says he doesn't need a kind woman. He wants a child from her. She asks why it has to be her. He replies that he doesn't want a child with someone he doesn't know. And since they were physically compatible in the past, he thought choosing her was the most practical option. She stares at him silently, thinking, what about the child he had with Yoonjung? Why come to her now? He must think she's still easy to push around. She finally asks him how much money he can offer. He says he can give her as much as she needs. She asks if he can give her 100,000. He says yes. She asks what happens if she can't pay it back. He says she doesn't need to repay anything. She only has to give him a child. She asks what happens if she doesn't succeed. He says not to worry, they'll simply keep trying until it works. She looks at him and says that besides his new money, he's still the same person. He replies that she seems even worse than before. He steps closer and holds her cheek gently, telling her to be sensible. In his experience, nothing is more useless than pride when someone is struggling to survive. It's late at night. Heesung sits near Minju's home, worried. She didn't come to work, which never happens. She's not at the hospital visiting her mother either. She's not answering calls or reading messages. He wonders how she'll ever meet a man who wants to marry her when she avoids everyone. He smiles to himself, thinking she still has him, the future first Olympic gold medalist in swimming. Now that he's an adult, he doesn't need permission from his family to choose who he loves. He's sure they'll be against it, but before he can finish the thought, he hears voices. It's Minju and Gihayen. Minju tells Gihayen to leave. Even if he's her landlord, following her home is crossing the line. He says he just wants to check the place since he'd be the one to lose money if something happened to the building. Heesung walks toward them and asks what's going on. Minju is surprised to see him. He says her best friend asked him to bring her food. Gihayen looks at him, wondering if they're close enough to visit each other's homes. Haegyeon's younger brother, Heesung. Gihayen lights a cigarette. He thinks he must have wronged their family in a past life. But suddenly Heesung grabs the cigarette out of his hand. He says he doesn't know who Gihayen is, but he can't smoke here. Fire trucks can't reach this neighborhood easily, and besides, it's rude to smoke in front of a lady. He crushes the cigarette with his hand. Gihayen asks who he is. Heesung says he should be asking that. Is he her boyfriend? Gihayen doesn't reply, only waits for an answer. Minju finally says he's her new landlord. Heesung is shocked and asks why a landlord is bothering her at night. Minju says he came because she forgot to pay rent. Heesung doesn't buy it. He says he doesn't think that's the only reason. Gihayen laughs softly and says maybe it runs in their family. They're both good at reading situations. Heesung is surprised he even knows his sister. Gihayen turns to Minju and says he'll leave for now. He tells her to think about his offer. He gently holds her cheek and asks if she's eating well. He tells her she's always been thin but now she looks too fragile. Heesung instantly pushes his hand away, asking what he thinks he's doing. Gihayen ignores him and tells Minju to be careful, lock her door, and watch who she lets into her home. She begs him to leave. She also tells Heesung to go home because she's too tired. Inside her room, she finally breaks. A notification pops up on her phone. It's from the hospital. If she doesn't pay the minimum overdue bill by the next day, they'll stop her mother's treatment. Her legs give out and she falls to the floor, shaking and crying. With trembling hands, she picks up her phone and searches online for surrogacy. The next day during training, Heesung dives into the pool, but his mind is somewhere else. He keeps thinking about Minju. Who exactly is Gihayen? How does he know his sister? And why did he act so boldly toward Minju? Even while swimming, the questions won't leave his head. His thoughts drift back to the night before. Minju begged him not to tell Haegyeon anything. She promised she would explain everything later, so he shouldn't ask or mention it for now. He even told her to sleep at their place, since his sister was worried, but she refused. She said his family had already helped her too much. He reminded her that she once said they were like family, but she told him that just because she said it didn't make it true. It was still her life and her problems. She told him not to come to her house or her workplace anymore. Back in the present, he's still distracted in the pool. Before, swimming helped him forget things, but not anymore. The coach blows the whistle and asks what's wrong with him. If he wants to train in Australia, he needs to focus. Heesung apologizes, but the moment the whistle sounds again, he falls backward into the water, lost in thought. At Minju's workplace, she's serving customers while a fancy car blocks the front of the shop. Her boss complains, saying only customers can park there, and tells Minju to ask the driver to move it. When she goes outside, she finds Gihayen behind the wheel. He asks if she has thought about his proposal. She ignores the question and says it must be nice being rich enough to sit around instead of going to work. He tells her he has enough money for both of them, that she wouldn't have to work anymore. He mentions her mother's hospital bills and asks if 2 part-time jobs will ever be enough. She tells him he doesn't need her to have a child and that he can hire someone else. But he says he doesn't think he can find anyone as responsible as she is. The word responsible shakes her. She remembers the day he broke up with her 10 years ago. He told her he was grateful for her love, but that was all. He told her she deserved better and that she should think of him as gone. She had cried without being able to say anything. The next evening, they meet at a cafe. They continue discussing the contract. She asks if she only needs to give birth to 1 child. He says yes. She asks if he can pay her upfront. He smiles and says she's the one who has changed, she now knows how to negotiate. She tells him she is serious. She needs the money. He says they should eat first, and that she needs to gain weight. He'll even put that as a rule in the contract because the mother needs to be healthy. She asks if he already has an egg donor, and he asks why he would need one. She thought she would be a surrogate, but he tells her he has no interest in donors or medical procedures. If she agrees, they will have to conceive the normal way. She trembles. She didn't expect that. He says he already told her he doesn't want a child with a stranger. She asks him if that is why he's paying so much. He says she can ask for even more. She asks if he doesn't think he's paying too much just to be with her. He says he doesn't care as long as it's her. She tells him she's going to the restroom. As she walks away, he wonders if he pushed her too far. He's been searching for her for 10 years, but she doesn't feel the same way. Her phone rings. He checks it and sees the caller ID, Heesung. He lifts the phone to his ear without speaking. Heesung's voice comes through, saying she finally answered. He keeps calling her name. He says he can't live like this anymore, that they should just get married, that he wants to be her family. He says he loves her. In the restroom, Minju sits down, confused. She doesn't know what's worse, the person making such a shocking offer, or herself for actually considering it. When she steps out, she finds Gihayen waiting. He asks how much time she needs before signing. She says she doesn't think but before she finishes, he grabs her hand and pulls her along. She calls his name, shocked. He says he's helping her make a decision and tells her to come with him. He drives fast through the city. She tells him this could be seen as kidnapping. He says he won't deny he wants to take her with him, but this isn't kidnapping. She tells him to slow down. He says he will if she stays calm. They arrive at Halton Hotel. She asks why he brought her to a hotel. He tells her to get out first. She says she hasn't agreed to anything. He asks if she wants the doorman to suffer. She steps out. She's surprised when he says he works here. Inside, everyone greets him. She realizes he wasn't exaggerating about his success. They walk into a boardroom. He sits behind a nameplate with the title CEO. She sits across from him. He hands her an envelope. Inside is the contract. He tells her he knows rent and hospital bills aren't her only problems. Her stepfather and stepbrother left huge debts. He isn't saying it to shame her, he's offering a realistic solution. She opens the contract. It's titled Pregnancy Agreement. It states he will take full financial responsibility for the child. It also says she must not see anyone else. He tells her not to overthink it. Her mother is her only family. Wouldn't it be better to work less and spend more time with her? She crumples the paper and throws it away. He tells her there's another copy and she should sign it and return it tomorrow. She is shocked. He reminds her that she always understood numbers better than him, time will not fix her problems. She walks to the window, thinking. He comes behind her and rests a hand on her shoulder. He says he brought her here to help her decide. He tells her not to blame herself, that the world is cruel. She is only a daughter trying to save her mother. She looks at him, so he still remembers that. He suddenly kisses her. Her phone rings. She pushes him away and answers. It's Gihayen. Her mother's blood pressure has gone dangerously high. They're moving her to the ICU. She needs to come immediately. Minju rushes out. At Seoul Medical Center, she sits with Gihayen, who tells her to transfer her mother to a top hospital for a kidney transplant. It will cost more, but she will help with the money. Minju refuses. She can't accept any more help from her. Then Gihayen says Hee-sung wants to marry her. Minju is shocked. Gihayen says he mentioned it while drunk, but they both know he has feelings for her. However, since their mother died giving birth to him, he's more like a son to her than a brother. She can't accept Minju entering his life like that. Minju says she understands. She doesn't blame her. She asks if Gihayen told Gihayen about Hee-sung. Gihayen becomes angry, asking why she would ever mention his name. Minju asks if she thinks he knows. Gihayen says she never told him, unless Minju plans to say it herself. She asks if Minju has been taking her medicine, reminding her that depression needs care like a cold. She hugs her and tells her to focus on herself. Later, Minju sits alone in the waiting room. A message arrives from Hee-sung. He says he loves her. She takes a deep breath and dials a number. When it's picked up, she says she'll sign the contract. He should come get it tomorrow. Gihayen waits outside Minju's workplace late at night, growing impatient. He lights a cigarette and wonders why she is still working when she already agreed to sign the contract. He tells himself to wait, but his patience runs out and he walks toward the shop. Inside, Minju is serving drinks to two men. One of them compliments her and tells her to fill his cup. He asks for her name. His friend warns him not to make such risky comments, then fills the cup for him instead. The man urges Minju to drink with them but she refuses, saying workers are not allowed to drink on the job. He tells her not to be boring. She apologizes and repeats the rules. The other man suddenly gives her money for the employees to buy a drink later and hands it to her in a disrespectful way. Minju feels sick but thanks him politely and goes to give the money to her boss. Her boss tells her to keep it and says being strict is part of her charm. Before he finishes, Gihayen suddenly appears, yanks off her apron, and tells her boss she won't work here anymore. Both Minju and the boss are shocked. Gihayen calls himself her creditor and drags her out, telling the boss not to contact her again. In the car, he asks if she plans to keep working when she already got the down payment. She thinks to herself that she needs a safety net in case she can't fulfill the contract. He comments that she must be very confident in her health. She tells him they need to set a date. He asks what she means and she tells him they need a date to make the baby. He bluntly asks if calling it sex is easier. He adds that she must have plenty of energy since she refused to stop working. She explains that her cycle is irregular, so it is hard to tell when she can conceive, and trying now would be pointless. He says it doesn't matter, just tell him when. She asks why he suddenly cares so much about having a child since he never liked kids before, and says he should not do this just because he wants physical closeness. He looks disappointed and reminds her that the contract says she must cooperate. She says she read it. He says he wants more cooperation from her. She snaps and tells him they can do it right now if he is that impatient. He is shocked, quickly pulls over, and leans close asking if it excites her. He teases that she has become bold and asks if she dated other men. She says yes. He immediately guesses Heesung. She says no and warns him never to involve Heesung because he is like a younger brother. Gihayen is surprised she is angry and says it shows how hard her life has been. Then he calmly says they need to follow proper steps. She must move out of her dangerous home and stop working nights. She is shocked and asks why she has to leave. He says her place is unsafe and not suitable for someone who will carry a baby. He tells her to stay somewhere he can keep an eye on her until the child is born. She silently tells herself she is sorry, but she does not want to have his child, so she needs her own place to return to. They walk toward her home arguing. He says he wants to find her a place close to her mother's hospital. She refuses. He asks why she is stubborn. She says he is the stubborn one and the contract does not require her to move. She reminds him she hasn't signed anything yet and warns she might change her mind if he keeps pushing. Suddenly a voice calls from inside her apartment. She opens the door and sees Heesung in a suit holding flowers. He tells her to report Gihayen as a stalker. Gihayen scoffs and says Heesung is not a younger brother type at all, he is clearly a man in love. He tells her to pack her things before he does something to Heesung. Heesung steps close, begging her to ignore Gihayen. He says he came to talk. He opens his hand showing a ring and asks her to marry him and move to Australia with him. He says they can take her mother too and he will take care of her. She gently pushes his hand away and apologizes. She tells him it's impossible because she is pregnant with Gihayen's child. Heesung freezes in shock. That same evening at Halton Hotel, Minju walks beside Gihayen while a hotel worker carries her bags. He tells her to move her mom to another hospital tomorrow and that he is already searching for a new place for her to live near the area. She tells him she is only here because of what happened earlier and he should not bother looking for a house because she won't live there. He asks why, wondering if she hurt him on purpose, saying he is both curious and scared to hear her answer. She tries to speak but he cuts her off and walks away because he can't stand seeing her so troubled. She watches him in silence. At Seoul Medical Center, Heesung walks through the hallway and two girls whisper excitedly that the famous swimmer looks even more handsome in person. He goes to the reception and tells the nurse he wants to see Haegyeong. She recognizes him and greets him warmly. Haegyeong appears and asks why he's here dressed like that. He ignores her question and asks who Gihayen Park is. She freezes. He says Gihayen seems to know Minju very well and even knows her too. Haegyeong mutters that she knew it, asking if he contacted Minju again, but Heesung snaps, demanding she answer him first. At the hotel suite, Gihayen tells Minju she can unpack in the master bedroom and ask if she needs anything. She asks where he will sleep if she takes the master room. He looks at her and asks why they should sleep separately since they once lived together. He steps closer and tells her she is not on her period, so they should do it today, just as a warm-up. She is shocked. He leans in, but she quickly says she is taking medication. He stops immediately and asks what kind. She panics and lies that it's for skin rashes. He asks where she got it, saying some drugs can lower the chance of pregnancy. She cannot tell him it's medication for anxiety and depression. She begs for 2 weeks. He grabs her hand, kisses her, and tells her to take that as a warning, that if she lies, she should make it more believable. Then he says today is Wednesday, so they will start 2 Wednesdays from now, and he hopes she won't make another excuse. He tells her to rest because he will spend the night at his grandfather's place, leaving her shocked. The next morning she goes to a pharmacy to buy birth control pills. As she gets to the door, she remembers 10 years ago when a doctor told her she was 11 weeks pregnant. She bursts into tears. She buys the pills anyway. Whatever happens, she must avoid another pregnancy no matter what. Gihayen calls asking where she went so early. She says she is going to see her mother since she missed visiting hours. He asks if she quit her restaurant job and she says yes. He tells her she better keep the promise she made yesterday. She hangs up and takes the pill. At Seoul Medical Center, she arrives to see her mom, but Haegyong stops her and demands an explanation. She asks why Minju did not answer her calls and accuses her of telling Heesung she's pregnant just to make him give up. Suddenly Gihayen appears behind them and calmly says that's not the only reason, because Minju is going to live with him now. Actually, she's already living with him. He puts his arm around her. Haegyong explodes, shouting at him, furious that he has the nerve after everything he put Minju through. Minju begins to feel faint, asking Haegyong to stop. Both rush toward her as she suddenly collapses to the floor and loses consciousness. Our girl wakes up in a hospital ward, with Heesung and Haegyong sitting beside her, asking how she feels. Haegyong tells her she scared them and that she's too thin. Suddenly, Gihayen walks in and goes straight to her bed, asking if her skin rash medicine has any side effects because the doctor needs to know what she's taking. She freezes, remembering the anxiety pills, the depression pills, and the birth control tablet she took that morning. Haegyong is confused, wondering if it's something serious like shingles. Our girl sits up and says she's fine, and that she only got dizzy because she skipped breakfast. Gihayen tells her she has malnutrition and should get a full checkup, but she cuts him off, saying she doesn't have time. She starts removing the drip. He stops her and asks where she's going in that condition, and she says she's going to see her mother. He tries to hold her back, but she pulls away, saying she has been sick before, and this is nothing. Haegyong tells him to leave her alone if he has a conscience. He steps back, and our girl walks out quickly. At the ICU, she sits beside her unconscious mother, holding her hand. She remembers when her mother could still talk during treatment, but now she can only wait. She doesn't mind, as long as her mother keeps fighting. A doctor walks in and asks if she is a family member. She says yes. Outside, he asks if she knows Gihayen Park and explains that he is a top kidney specialist at Y Hospital. He says he heard about her mother's case through another doctor who knows Gihayen well. He tells her that a clinical trial for a new treatment is happening now, and it could help her mother before surgery. He says the chance is rare, and she should take it if she wants to save her mother's life. He adds that her prayers must have opened this door. She walks to the reception and finds Gihayen waiting. He asks about her mother, but she ignores the question and tells him she wants food. He smiles and agrees. Outside, his driver brings the car. As she gets in, Heesung watches them sadly. She looks back and sees him staring. He pulls out his phone and searches Gihayen's name. That evening, at the hotel suite, Gihayen tells her to rest and says he won't disturb her. He adds that her mom will be moved to Y Hospital the day after tomorrow and she should relax tomorrow. He even tells her to use the hotel spa. She only says goodnight. The moment he leaves, she takes another birth control pill. Days pass in a strange, quiet peace. Gihayen says he is busy and hardly returns to the suite. Her mom is moved safely to Y Hospital. Our girl tries to live normally, except that she still returns to his room every night. Seeing him again feels unreal, and when he does appear, he's calm and doesn't show any pressure. One day, he takes her to a boutique. She asks why they are there, and he says he wants to buy her clothes. He picks a dress and asks if she likes it. She says she doesn't know because it looks like a wedding outfit. She also wonders why he's buying a dress that isn't meant for pregnant women. The shopkeeper brings lower heels and a purse. He tells her she will get a chance to wear the dress. When she asks when, he comments that she never refused gifts before. She tells him things have changed. She is drained and confused by his behavior. Time passes quickly, and she remembers the real purpose of their relationship. When they return to the hotel, he reminds her that today is Wednesday. He says she signed the agreement and shouldn't change her mind. She becomes quiet. She realizes the outing was just preparation for tonight. She feels like a dressed-up doll. He waits with a drink while she showers. She wonders if she should end everything and return the money, but her mother's face appears in her mind. She tells herself she has been with him before, and it won't take long. In the end, she tries to make a small deal. When he leans in to kiss her, she quietly tells him they should only do what is necessary. To her, kisses and soft touches belong to real lovers. Her words trigger something unexpected in him. He moves over her gently and says he barely touched her, yet she still reacts the same. Then he asks if she has been with anyone else and quickly says he knows Heesung isn't one of them. He adds that he hasn't been with anyone else since then. She stays silent, wanting to ask her own question, but the moment passes. He pulls the past into the present and kisses her deeply. 10 years ago, on a rainy night, they were dating and staying together in her small place. They became close, but she didn't like the style he always wanted. She found the position embarrassing. He preferred taking her from behind and said it was the best way. After their intense moment, she lay beside him exhausted while he played games on his phone. She rested her head on his chest and told him that, according to Plato, a kiss is the meeting of two souls. He asked if she became a philosopher after taking that philosophy class. He complained that he told her not to take it, saying it was a waste of money and she should have studied something more practical. She told him he didn't like kissing her, and he asked why she thought that. She said he only let her kiss him when he was drunk, which is also why he always took her from behind when he was sober. He dropped his phone and told her it wasn't like that, adding that she always reacted more strongly that way. Feeling defeated, she said he was right, that everything he did was fine. She smiled and said that if he liked something, then she liked it too. He said she was making him feel embarrassed. She leaned closer with a little smile and said it felt nice because it had been a while since he listened to her without staring at his phone. He took that badly and asked if she wasn't tired of him yet. She said no and asked if she could get a kiss, even just once while he was sober, because it would feel different. He told her to save her kisses for her future boyfriend, not someone like him. He called himself a parasite living off her and said she should keep her lips for someone decent. She felt crushed and said she would wash up. In the bathroom, she cried silently. From the room, he shouted that he could still hear her. Then he said he would spend the night at his own place. He left, slamming the door behind him, walking into the rain without caring. Back in the present, she suddenly told him she wanted him to take her from behind, saying they both used to like it and that it suited a relationship like theirs, then and now. She got on her fours with a forced smile, ready for him. He was shocked. He said she was lying because she never liked it and always complained it hurt. She said she liked it, she really did. He looked at her shaking, already expecting pain. Then he told her he didn't want to take her from behind anymore and had no intention of doing that again. She was stunned and was about to ask why when his phone rang. He checked it. Only the chairman's secretary or hotel management would call at that hour. He answered. The front desk apologized for calling late and said it was important, about the guest staying with him. He told them he would be right down and to bring the person to his office. He walked out of the closet fully dressed while she still lay on the bed. He told her he might be long, so she should sleep. Then he asked why she never returned to school back then, saying he heard she was expelled because of that. She asked why it mattered. He said he just wanted to know if he was the reason she never went back. Then he walked out, leaving her alone. In his office, he saw Heesung pacing around. He asked what he was doing there at that hour and if he shouldn't be training. Heesung bowed and apologized for disturbing him. Gihayen told him to skip the formality and say what he came to say about Minju. They sit together in his office. The male lead says he was busy before coming down, so Heesung should talk fast. Heesung slides an envelope across the desk. The male lead looks at it and asks why he's giving him money. Heesung says it's to repay Minju's debt and if it's not enough, he should tell him the exact amount. The male lead cuts him off and asks why he wants to pay her debt and who he thinks he is. Heesung says he knows how powerful men treat women and that Minju won't be able to handle it. He says she's as fragile as glass right now, and someone needs to stop her, but she keeps avoiding him and refuses help from others, so this is the only way he can appeal to the male lead's better side. The male lead says the money is far from enough, but it's still a huge amount for a kid, and asks him where he got it from, warning him not to say he borrowed from a loan shark. Heesung says it's the money meant for his Australia training and the down payment for a commercial job. The male lead says that's even worse and asks if he's okay and if his sister knows what he just did. Heesung asks if he's worried about him. The male lead says he's only worried about Minju finding out. Heesung says he knew it, that the male lead really cares about her and isn't just messing around. He says he might treat him like a kid, but it's easy to see because he's also a man, and he knew right away that he liked Minju. He asks if the money can at least cover half the debt, and if it can, he wants him to take it and compete fairly instead of controlling Minju with money. The male lead smiles and says he's still just a kid, and today proved it. He pushes the money back and tells him to go buy snacks. He says kids shouldn't interfere in adult issues. He adds that Heesung was right about one thing though, he's not messing around with Minju, so Heesung should stay away from her because that's his final warning. After leaving the office, the male lead steps onto the balcony and smokes while thinking back to 10 years ago when Minju asked him for a kiss and he told her to save it for her future boyfriend because he was just a burden to her. He remembers Heesung telling him that he can chase his gold medal dream without abandoning Minju and that they should compete fairly and not control her with money. He also remembers him saying Minju is as fragile as glass. He crushes the cigarette and walks to his suite, thinking about how Heesung is sincere and pure, while he himself has never been like that, but still refuses to let Minju go. He enters the room and sees her lying on the bed. He tells her to get up so they can continue their earlier talk. He removes his jacket and tells her to come closer. He says he wanted to always face her, but right now it's better if he doesn't look at her expression. They share an intense moment, but the scene stays off screen. Afterward, they lie there tired, and he tells her he's never letting her go. The next day at the Nam residence, Heesung is still in bed. Haegyeong wakes him up and asks why he's still lying there, whether he's not going to practice, and if he plans to act stubborn before going to Australia. He says he's not going, or rather, that he can't. She tells him to grow up and asks if he thinks acting like that will make Minju accept him. She says she never would while she's against it. He calls her a hypocrite since she said Minju was like a sister. She smacks his head and reminds him they sold their house to pay for his training, telling him to get his head straight. She warns him Minju would be more worried than she is if he keeps acting like this. He stands and says he already got the money for the training back. She's shocked, asking if he knows how hard it was to get that coach and what he was thinking. In the living room, their father asks why they're fighting so early. She says Heesung cancelled his training in Australia. Heesung explains someone is trying to buy Minju with money, so he paid off her debt. Haegyeong is shocked and shouts, asking if he gave their hard-earned money to Gihayen Park. In the hotel suite, Minju wakes up and sees Gihayen beside her on his laptop. She asks if he's not going to work. He says he's the CEO and can choose his hours. She thinks administrative positions are risky, surprised he can be so carefree. She tries to leave, but her body feels heavy. He closes his laptop and says since she's awake, they should do it again, adding that some women are more likely to get pregnant in the morning. She warns that too much can reduce the chance of pregnancy. He asks if it's science or an excuse. She sits up, saying she signed the contract but it feels too much and asks why he's rushing. He tells her to think rationally, saying this is her golden ticket to get whatever she wants, and he doesn't care if it's a boy or girl, she just needs to give him a child, and he'll do anything for her, even give her an organ, calling himself the sucker this time. She asks for a favor not for herself. As she starts to explain, she remembers Haegyeong saying they sold their house to hire Heesung's coach because being an athlete is too expensive. Back to present, she tells him to sponsor Heesung. He's surprised. She asks if he still likes getting head and that they can give each other what they want. She begins to satisfy him. He wonders what her feelings for Heesung are and if she would do this for a friend's brother. After a while, she stops, about to lie down, but he grabs her hand. On the road, Haegyong is in a taxi trying to reach Minju, but she isn't picking up. She hopes Gihayen isn't keeping her. She recalls earlier quarreling with Heesung over giving out money for his training, saying it was hard because they sold the apartment bought with their mother's life insurance. She called him an ingrate, and her father told her to stop hitting him. Heesung had said people call Minju a gold digger, that she went after Gihayen for his money. He knows Gihayen is serious, but hotel staff think an innocent gold digger seduced the CEO. She blurts out in the taxi. The driver asks if she means him. She says no, just talking to herself. They're stuck in traffic, and she asks if there's another road to the hotel. In the suite, they're still intimate. She worries people might see them. He asks if she doesn't like the place, saying they'd have to move if she doesn't. He reminds her he promised a house near her mother's hospital. She refuses. He says they agreed to give each other what they want, and is sponsoring Heesung, so she has to move too. He adds they don't know when she'll get pregnant. He's frustrated, thinking she's waiting to back out. He tells her she can make him do anything if she uses the right words, to say she wants to live with him. She refuses. His phone rings. He picks up. The caller is Haegyong, telling him to bring Minju to the lobby immediately, threatening to burn the place if he doesn't. Minutes ago, Haegyong arrives at the hotel and is greeted by the doorman. She walks to the reception with a bag, still shocked that Gihayen is the hotel heir. She wonders if Yoonjung knew and why he's mooching off Minju. At the desk, the receptionist asks if she has a reservation. She says she's here to see Gihayen Park and insists he be called. The receptionist says she can't see the CEO without an appointment. She refuses to leave and threatens to cause a scene. Gihayen is called and she confronts him directly. In the suite, Minju is lying on the bed, exhausted, knowing she has to shower and go to work. She checks her phone and sees 10 missed calls and 3 messages from Haegyong saying she's coming to the hotel, realizing that's why Gihayen left suddenly. At the reception, Haegyong tells Gihayen to let Minju go while she's still civil, reminding him he has a reputation. Other guests whisper, realizing he's the illegitimate son of SY Group. Some staff wonder why she wasn't taken somewhere private, and the doorman says she refused and Gihayen told them to leave her alone. He asks why she insisted on the lobby, if she wants to humiliate him. She says no matter how he is now, he'll always be a sinner in Minju's eyes and questions if Yoonjung couldn't give him a child. He admits she's right but says he couldn't find anyone better than her. She calls him trash and opens a bag full of money, saying he deserves a beating. Minju runs towards them, begging Haegyong to stop. Haegyong throws the money at Gihayen, saying everyone likes money and he should take it, cursing him. She shouts that being rich doesn't give him the right to do whatever he wants and warns him never to touch Minju or her brother again. Staff run to Gihayen asking if he's okay. Haegyong empties the bag, telling him to take it and never show his face again. Gihayen watches silently. The doorman asks if he's okay. He says yes. Haegyong lectures the staff about making better choices, boycotting the hotel, and questioning SY Group's honesty. The male lead lets her finish, and when she calms down, Minju asks if she really thinks she helped her. Haegyong says she's sorry but did what she would do if she were her sister, upset she didn't act sooner. Minju convinces her to leave, and they walk away. Gihayen tells the staff to get witnesses' numbers, send apologies, and return every piece of money. In his office, the chairman of SY Group calls, angry about the hotel incident. He scolds Gihayen for letting such an ill-bred person cause a scene. Gihayen replies that if his father allowed his mother to give birth to him, he should take responsibility. The old man reminds him he begged for a chance. Gihayen says he gained something too, mentioning he lost his only son and grandson in one day. The chairman curses and tells him he'll be set up with a nice girl and won't get anything until he has a great-grandchild. Gihayen says he's too busy dealing with earlier events and hangs up. There's a knock. Minju enters, asking why he never told her he's the chairman's grandson. He explains she never wondered and even the Nam siblings knew. He says she should just know that his new status and Haegyong won't make him give up on her. Minju insists they move closer to her mother's hospital. He agrees, saying the house has been ready and they can move there now. They arrive at the new apartment and she's amazed by how magnificent the estate is. The driver says he'll bring their luggage soon. They say goodbye and enter the house. She asks if the place is too big. He says he was in a hurry and this was the only place he could find. As they climb the stairs, he tells her a housekeeper will come every morning to clean. She says she can do it herself. He asks if she thinks she can manage a house this big and says she should get used to help. He adds she won't do housework once she's pregnant. She says she's uncomfortable. He says he'll deduct the housekeeping fee from her balance. Inside the room, he says he chose essential furniture but she can redecorate however she wants. She says it's his house. He says he doesn't care, has no interest in decorating, and she can furnish it with the baby in mind. He tells her to rest and leaves. She asks if they'll use separate rooms. He says no, just giving her time to adjust. At night, she lies on the bed, deep in thought, unable to sleep with all the changes. She recalls Haegyeong asking why she got involved with Gihayen again now that he has money and status. She replied it's for the best. She knows what he wants and will use him to get what she wants. She used his connections to get her mother into the clinical trial at Y Hospital. That's what she focuses on now. Someone enters, and she pretends to be asleep. It's Gihayen. He sits beside her, watches her, holds her hand, then leaves. She wonders why he acted so differently. The next morning, she comes downstairs to find him having breakfast. He notices she looks tired and asks if she slept well. She doesn't reply but joins him and starts eating. He asks if he should tell the housekeeper to make more rice. She ignores him. He instructs the housekeeper to make rice just right, meat tender, and dishes in large portions. She interrupts, saying she's not picky. He asks if that's how much she eats. She says she's tired from not sleeping well. She's surprised he remembers she doesn't like mushy rice. He says taking care of her body is part of the contract and she should eat more. He drives her to work. She complains he could have dropped her at the main road. He says he'll send a car to pick her up. She refuses, saying she'll take the bus. He insists she takes the car since she's going to the hospital. At work, her coworker asks who dropped her off. She says a friend from college. The coworker remembers the car from the other day. She sees her taking medicine and asks why. She says it's just a stomach upset. At night, she returns and finds him on the bed. He says she's late. She says she was busy with unfinished tasks. He tells her to wash up. They cuddle on the bed. He promises to get a lawyer for her brother and tells her to focus on their agreement and her health. He asks if she still has to work at the snack shop. She notices he wants her to quit and changes the topic, saying she thinks she's ovulating. He immediately kisses her and undresses. They get intimate. He asks if she ate at work. She says yes. He says since she's well fed and tomorrow is the weekend, he can do it as much as he wants. He adds he researched again and doing it often is the best way to get pregnant. They continue their intimate session. She's exhausted but he isn't. She wonders if he's taking any medicine. He says it's because it's her. She looks at him, confused. 30-year-old Gihayen says things she can't always understand, confusing her sometimes. She sits outside, enjoying the breeze. A lady with a baby asks to sit with her. She agrees, asks the baby's age. The lady says almost 1. She comments he's adorable. The lady jokes that she should see him crying to change her mind. She says he would still be cute. The male lead walks toward them. The lady leaves, they say goodbye. He sits beside her. He notices she still likes babies and asks why she left school. She says she had to take care of her mother. He asks if she was sick. She says her kidneys weren't the problem, she was a bit depressed. She feels uncomfortable and suggests going inside, it's cold. Later that night, on the bed, the mood is cold. He asks if depression is hereditary. She recalls Haegyeong asking at the hospital if she's taking her medicine and to take care of herself. Back in the present, she asks if he'll cancel the contract if she has depression. He says that's not what he means, he just doesn't want her to have it. He suggests they sleep early. She's surprised but agrees. They sleep facing opposite directions. She wonders why he suddenly asked if he's worried about passing depression to the baby, and what he would do if she truly suffers. He tells her she needs to go somewhere with him the next day. She asks where, and he says she'll know when they get there. The next day, they go to a makeup shop. A middle-aged lady, the manager, welcomes them. He apologizes for being late and tells her an outfit for Minju will be delivered soon. He asks if 3 hours is enough. She smiles and says yes, she'll transform Minju into the perfect wife-to-be. Minju asks what's going on and why she needs makeup. He walks out, telling her to let the manager pamper her and he'll be back in 3 hours. She looks at him, confused by his behavior. During the makeup session, the manager asks if she has a usual style. She says no, she barely wears makeup. The manager suggests a natural look, suggesting hair extensions for volume. She tells Minju she's naturally beautiful and will shine even more with care. 3 hours later, he returns in a suit. The manager says she's ready and has refreshments. He enters and sees Minju looking stunning. She asks about the future in-law's comment. He says it was to get the best result. She questions why he's buying new clothes when she hasn't worn all the previous ones. He tells her she's his +1 for an event. She asks if it's in the contract. He says he'll hire 24/7 care for her mother once she's out of ICU. He asks if she thinks that's generous for her to be his +1 for a night. At SY Group HQ, it's the anniversary party. They see many guests. An elderly man greets him and says he looks better in person and should show himself more in the media. He says only on respectable shows, not gossip. The chairman's secretary greets him and asks if Minju is the girl he plans to marry. He says he'll introduce her to the chairman later. He holds Minju's hand and leads her to the chairman. The chairman congratulates him and says he thought he wouldn't come. He explains it's a rare gathering and he wants to introduce someone. He says Minju is his fiancée and 4 weeks pregnant. Minju is shocked. The chairman asks why the rush. He says he values his bloodline and the chairman nags him for a great-grandchild. The chairman says it's right to take responsibility but seems confused about bringing Minju. Minju realizes he wants to keep the child, not her. He tells the chairman men in the family aren't consistent, but he chose differently. He intends to marry her and since her mother is unwell, they'll skip the rehearsal dinner. On the way home, Minju asks if lying to his grandfather was okay. He says the old man would have kept setting him up with women. He promises not to separate them as long as she's pregnant with his child. She says the contract was to avoid arranged marriage but suggests he find someone else. She asks what he'll tell the chairman if she doesn't get pregnant. He says it doesn't matter, the chairman abandoned him. She asks why he wants a child and how he'll explain contracting a woman to his future wife. He admits it's a problem, takes her hand, kisses her, and says it's time for lovemaking. As soon as they got home, Gihayen starts kissing Minju, saying they should do it immediately because he can't wait. Minju worries the housekeeper might see them, but he reassures her she's gone home for the day. She also worries about people outside seeing them in the living room, and he says the windows are fitted with reflective glass. He smirks, telling her she looks stunning today and she looks good in anything, but they should doll her up like this sometimes. Minju thinks inwardly that she hasn't taken her pill yet today, but taking it late once should be fine. She feels relieved when she learns Gihayen is the SY heir because it means he only sees her as a tool for their business arrangement, leaving no room for misunderstandings. That thought eased her reluctance to leave the hotel and start living here, but now she's confused by his actions. Why introduce her to his grandfather? She realizes he's using her to avoid an arranged marriage, but today's actions erased her suspicion that he might have feelings for her. If he did, he should have found someone worthy and not treated her so kindly. He should just use and discard her like before. She wonders why he insists on having a child with her and why intimacy is part of it. Their relationship makes her sadder by the day, forcing her to confront her own scars and unmet needs, so she treats him coldly. The next morning, while she's asleep, Gihayen tells her he'll be home late and she should rest. Later, she gets up, quickly cleans the floor, takes a bath, and goes downstairs. The housekeeper tells her she came just in time because Mr. Park instructed her to prepare a fertility tonic. Minju says she doesn't need it, But the housekeeper insists it's important for her to be healthy to give birth to a strong baby. She explains that miscarriages are common these days due to pollution, and the body remembers loss, like her friend's daughter who still aches every winter. Minju drinks the tonic and says she's leaving, but the housekeeper tells her to wait and eat something. She refuses, crying because the tonic was too bitter. Her phone rings, and she thinks inwardly, why does he have to call now? Please subscribe, like and comment for more recap stories. I hope you enjoyed watching. See you soon.